Welcome to the Market Domination Talk Show. I am your host, Seth Greene, and today I have the good fortune to interview Bill Knoche, sales strategist of WeSolveSalesProblems.com. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you, Seth. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. Now, you call yourself a sales strategist. What exactly does that mean?
I teach salespeople to think. Because there's a lot of salespeople who don't think when they're out doing sales calls or doing their work, and they're all doing it on autopilot. They aren't really thinking about it.
So what do you enjoy most about your business? What turns you on?
Okay, I absolutely love the fact that people get turned on about themselves. They catch on fire, and once they realize all they're capable of, their eyes light up and they become different people. It's a lot of fun to watch that happen.
So why should salespeople use a sales strategist or a sales coach?
Well, I'm going to play with it. There's no reason that they should, because they can go on just like a golfer. It's not like he should get a coach, but if he wants to play well, he's probably not going to do it by himself. So it's a matter of an option about having a coach. And number one, I guess the coach you work with, you ought to like them. You don't want to have somebody that you don't get along with, and then you have some common ground. I want my clients that I have the most fun with are the ones who really want to make a difference for their clients. It's not only the money they get to make; it's the service they get to provide, and they get a kick out of providing great service to their clients. They've got a great product.
And the better job they do at providing that great product or service to that customers, of course, the more they get compensated usually.
Correct.
I know that if I were to go to in the bookstore, like a Barnes & Noble, there are entire sections of books on selling. I know you've got some pretty strong opinions on a lot of those.
I do, because there's in a lot of the manuals you get about selling, it's about manipulating the prospect into buying. It's about there's in general in sales situations. There's a lot of salespeople who will stretch the truth. And I love to work with people who want to have I'm going to call it a handicap. It's not really, but the handicap of working with the truth. You don't have to stretch it. If you know how to tell the truth powerfully, the person you're speaking with recognizes that. And all of a sudden they're drawn to you because you're not stretching. You're not BSing people.
I like that. Telling the truth powerfully. What is the value of, you call it clearing for conversation. What does that mean? That's Bill Knoche language.
Okay, yeah. I want salespeople to go in and create a clearing for conversation, which is actually a no-sell zone, where you just go in and have a conversation with a person. You find out what they want. You find out, in many situations, you find out how long they've wanted it, why they've been putting it off. You find out about the person, and this isn't something you do to make them think you care about them.
So not a technique.
No, it's actually going in and caring about them, helping them get what they want. I mean, the evolution of my sales training program is, when I first created it, was stand-up sales and negotiating. And it isn't about negotiating, it's actually about collaboration. You go in and you help the customer buy. And when you can switch to that position, when you're actually there to help the customer out, it's amazing how the salesperson changes, because it's not about overcoming an objection. It's about actually helping the people get what they want. And it's amazing how it works.
So that's kind of revolutionary. You're putting the salesperson and the prospect on the same side of the table.
Oh, absolutely. You're there to help them get what they want.
Okay, now that is, to a certain extent, stereotypically against what you spent years in the automobile sales business, right, which has all sorts of negative stereotypes and associations where it's an adversarial relationship. So what did you learn from that business?
Well, I know that I never particularly enjoyed selling cars. I enjoyed being the service manager. I like helping people. And I mean, it's not like, the automobile business was not something that was a lot of fun. I watched the guys who made a lot of money in the business. I watched them actually mislead people. I walked by this one guy's office one day, and he was talking to the customer. He said, yes, this Buick has the same fine engine as a Cadillac in it. And it didn't. There was no truth to it at all.
Okay.
Absolutely. And he laughed about it afterward. And I mean, because it was such a crazy thing, there was laughter about this particular guy who could tell anybody anything. That's not the automobile business of today. I don't think you'll find that, but I really don't want to give automobile people a bad rap, because there's a lot I've got a guy that I buy my cars from. I love him. He does a great job for me.
You say that most salespeople are too predictable. What does that mean?
Well, if you have somebody too predictable, what happens? Average situation. What happens when you walk into an automobile dealership? Every salesperson.
How can I help you? What are you looking for today?
Yeah, they all are this. They're the same thing. It's after 4 minutes of conversation with the average salesperson, the average prospect could kick back and go to sleep, because it's going to be the same stuff over and over and over. But it's about the salespeople understand their product, but they don't understand people.
Sounds like they're not listening.
No, they aren't listening. But nobody teaches the salesperson who's been trained in a product. They don't teach them how to listen. And so even you and I, when were you ever taught to listen?
My wife's been working on it for a while.
Your wife screams at you because you don't listen. Of course, she is a therapist, so she can help you with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, but most of the time, when you were a little kid, what you were told is don't talk.
Right.
And
Children should be seen and not heard.
Right. So while you weren't talking, there was still a conversation going on in your head, depending on how your father told you to stop talking. You still were having a conversation with your father. Your mouth just wasn't moving. Salespeople will do the same thing in a selling situation. When I work with them, they'll discover that a lot of times they stop talking because the prospect interrupted them. But
nerve.
Right. They just stop talking, and they're thinking about what they're going to say next. They are not listening to what the prospect is saying to them. If you can get a salesperson to actually listen, to shut down, and only be in this one sales call, not about where they have to be in the next hour, not about anything that went wrong, just stay in this sales call and focus on the customer. It's amazing how much is being communicated that most salespeople don't pick up on.
That's very true, especially with all the distractions, with all of technology and our smartphones and everything all the time. Do you think there's still a place for phone skills for today's salesperson?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think that in the last 3 years, it's been going up. I think that 5 or 7 years ago, it started to go down because everybody thought they were going to get people to call them from all their website advertising, all the things that they did to get people
or
to
sitting
call
on
in.
LinkedIn all day,
right.
Or emailing people.
Right, and you, in my opinion, now it could be my gray hair, you still have to have communication skills. You still have got to be able to talk to people and generate a conversation. And when I say generate a conversation, I don't mean a BS conversation. You've got to learn, in my opinion, when salespeople learn to ask questions, their sales will go up. It's not about how much you know, it's about how many questions you ask so that the prospect finds out from the question you're asking them how much you know. You don't tell them, but when you can out-question every other sales guy that's there and your prospect understands that you're there to take care of them, that's actually in that particular meeting is where most people make the buying decision. And when a salesperson leaves a sales call, I'd like the prospect that they were talking to be thinking in their head, I hope I can buy from him.
That's a totally different mindset.
Right. And it's...
Because people love to buy, they hate to be sold.
Oh, but you know, that's so easy. We've heard that for years, but
right.
There is not a salesman on the planet that actually believes that. Because they don't understand people, they understand the product.
Right.
So this whole, my model is about the collaboration, help the person buy what they want to buy. And then you've got to be strong enough when they want to buy something that isn't going to really benefit them. You've got, in my opinion, you've got to have enough courage to talk with them about that. I will tell you that I was out on a sales call because I actually go out with some of the people that I'm training. I go out on sales calls with them. And I was with a home improvement contractor, and we'd gone into this home, and this woman wanted a kitchen remodeled. And a long story short, she she said she wanted a counter put across this area that had a window in it. And we talked about, well, that window will have to come out. And she, oh, no, you got to leave the window in. And you've all, I don't know if you've all seen them, but you've seen homes where you walk in and you can see a counter sticking through a window that's closed. And so I was with them and I said, so is there a particular reason for this? And what happened she'd only bought these windows a short period of time ago. So it was like she didn't want to give that window up.
Because
but if you don't ask the questions of the customer and you let them make that mistake, that could cut $25,000 worth of value off of the property if it was done in a half fashion. So she was extremely pleased when we asked that question. Then the sales guy I was with said, well, I'll tell you, we'll take the window out and we'll put it on Craigslist. We'll sell it. And in an instant, her resistance went away because she thought she could at least sell it
and get the money back so that she wouldn't feel like a fool.
Right. She wouldn't waste her money. And these are the things that if you're really taking care of your clients, as long as it's maybe a long story for a TV situation, if you can take care of your clients like that, then all of a sudden they're taking care of you. I would like to have you when you're leaving a restaurant, let's say you're leaving your restaurant and one of your former clients are coming into that restaurant with friends. I'd like the people, as they're coming in, I'd like them to say hello to you and introduce you to their friends as the person I bought my car from, as the person I bought my kitchen from, as whatever, rather than, oh yeah, he's the guy who sold me my car. There's a big difference.
Yes.
But when people can introduce you that way, what happens also is your referrals go up because you've taken care of them. They want to take care of you. It's human nature that we do that.
Sure, and you have a model that is famous for producing outstanding results. How do you get such amazing results?
Well, I was fortunate enough to have a guy hire me that put me in the field with his salespeople. And so I would actually go and train in the field with the people and train them in front of the prospect. Well, not everybody has enough money to do that. So I learned about something called an audio note pen. And if you're taking notes in a meeting, you actually, the pen has a recorder in it and can record everything that's gone on in the meeting. And also, if you want to go back to something in your notes, it actually starts. It can see where you write on special paper, and it comes right back to that spot. So I've asked people to start to make notes with using audio notes. Then we can get back together, and we can actually listen to the sales calls. So when you're listening to a sales call, then you can start to see where you don't listen, where the prospect said something that you didn't hear. Right, again, we talked about never learning to listen, Seth, earlier. We were never taught to listen. When you start to listen to yourself, actually the playbacks of your sales calls, it's amazing what you realize. You would be selling for 20 years and you never realized you did it. That's the reason we get the speed we can make the changes, because we go in and we listen to them. And I don't have to convince them that they don't listen. They get to see that they don't listen.
Which is your exact model for them with the prospect, because you're trying to, as the salesperson, you want to help the prospect understand where they are and what they want and how they want to buy. And you're doing it with the salesperson. As an example, they're discovering for themselves what they've been missing.
Yes. And
so you practice what you preach.
Oh yeah, it really is. We can make great gains very rapidly, because it's not about reading another book, because words don't teach. What teaches is you learning how to apply what you've learned about selling. And most salespeople aren't great communicators, so we turn that piece up. And as we say, 50% increase is the best one I ever had. 50% increase in 7 weeks. Not everybody, but there are
results
people.
Not typical. They may vary.
Yeah, exactly.
Insert standard legal disclaimers.
Yeah, exactly.
So for folks who want to either take their sales career to the next level, or for company owners like myself who want to empower our salespeople with your unique process, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
An email to bill@wesolvesalesproblems.com. I'd like you to put in the subject line, Seth Greene, so I know where it came from, how you happen to get a hold of me. My phone number is 716-870-0690. That's my cell number. I think that would pretty well do the job.
Okay, well, thanks so much. It's been enlightening having you here, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.